Manzullo, any questions?
My only question is a follow-up on what Congressman Duffy spoke about. You acknowledge in an answer to his question that these smaller and community banks are impacted, and yet you neglected to get their input in the first place. Wouldn't that lead you to the conclusion that the results are flawed based upon your own testimony, Governor?
Well, it's certainly an honest observation, and in fact, it is the case that when the survey went out, because of interests of complying with the statutory deadline that Congress provided.
So you were under the gun and you rushed to judgment on this issue.
I don't want to say we rushed to judgment because we're trying to proceed carefully, and
No,
we've had 9 months to do it. But
I understand. Why couldn't you have simultaneously brought in the community bankers and other stakeholders with all the resources that you have at the Fed and at least get their input on this?
We are getting their input. We talk to them frequently.
But not up front.
They have submitted comments, and yes, there have been.
But you didn't survey them.
We didn't survey them because Congress exempted them from the.
That doesn't make any difference. Your job was to figure the impact on the consumer and on the retail industry and the banking industry. And just because they were exempted does not mean that they were impacted. So I think that your survey and your studies are flawed, and you should admit that.
Yeah, I'm not ready to admit that. I think we have faithfully executed upon a very complicated
I would disagree,
statute.
because you have stated in a direct answer to Congressman Duffy that those smaller banks are impacted by this legislation, and yet with all the hundreds and thousands of people that you have on hand there in 9 months, that you didn't have the time or the desire or the scholarship or the interest to examine other people, and that would be the community banks that would be impacted by this. I mean, people make mistakes all the time. If you don't have all the information before you, and if they were not interviewed and questioned in the first place, why would you then take a look at their comments on a study as to which they had no input in the first place? Why not just disregard their comments as they come in? Then you would be consistent.
Based on the comments we've received to date, we've received plenty of information from small banks, small credit unions, and their particular perspective is being taken into account.
The problem is this. You came to a conclusion without them being involved in the process in the first place. And now they're playing defense. They have to come back and they have to show through their studies without being given the opportunity that the larger banks were given. That's no way to come up with a regulation, Governor. It's flawed. And it's disingenuous.
Well, I don't mean to be disingenuous. I'm a former...
You're not disingenuous. The study was just disingenuous. I think what members here are looking at, and I think what America's looking at, is a study that's fair and balanced, takes into consideration all the stakeholders, and then comes to a conclusion as to what that charge would be. I've got the same people coming into my office as Congressman Duffy. Some are saying it's too high. Some are saying it's too low. With the incredible effect of business people being pitted against each other in a way I have never seen before in my 19 years of Congress. I have never seen this before, with the criticism that's being leveled at it. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the people, that a large group of people, the banks under $10 billion, were excluded from this. Their bigger concern also is that because they were exempted, that they can go in there and charge whatever they want. That doesn't help them. They come under the force and pressure of the price that you have set. And if they truly have expenses that are greater than what you have set, then they're going to be in the position of the larger banks trying to woo away the customers of the smaller banks, saying, oh, by the way, our swipe fees are cheaper, and the way to get cheaper swipe fees would be for you to move your accounts to the larger banks. I'm just saying that those are some of the arguments that we are hearing, and if they had been, you guys are shaking your heads no back there, but maybe you were part of the people who were being questioned. What we're talking about is the people who were not questioned and who wanted just a simple opportunity to be able to state their case, even if in fact they were wrong in doing so. Thank you. Or wrong in the facts that they would have given you. Thank you.